Chapter 32, Going Through Complete Brokenness. The most challenging time in my life as a father came when I left Gaylord, broken, humiliated, and deeply aware of the mess my life had become. My world had collapsed under the weight of my choices, and while I had finally come to grips with my alcoholism and entered recovery, the consequences of my past hadn't magically disappeared. I had to make decisions. In the divorce settlement, I had signed over the promissory note from the sale of my travel business to Jan. Financially, it was worth more than what I would have owed in child support over the following years, and in that sense, I felt I had met a part of my responsibility. But money was only one piece of the puzzle. What about my boys? By then, I was painfully aware that I hadn't been the father they needed. I too wrapped up in me, my ego, my business, my addictions. That's what addiction does. It turns your world inward and narrows your vision. Jan was working in a law firm and doing her best to keep things together, and I believed she'd be okay financially. But emotionally, the family was wounded. And I had played a big part in that. Before I moved to Florida, I sat down with David, my oldest. He was 17 at the time. I tried to have what I thought was a tough love conversation, telling him he might need to get a job. Looking back, I wish I had chosen different words of encouragement, reassurance, and pride. Instead, I gave him pressure. His face said everything, and though we've moved forward, I believe that conversation left a lasting mark in our relationship. For that, I'm truly sorry. Later, David married a wonderful woman, and together they've raised two beautiful children. I don't have the closeness I wish I did, but I remain proud of the man he became. Michael, our second son, had a different journey. After high school, he earned a full 4-year academic scholarship to the University of Michigan. I was so proud. He had grown into the brilliance I always told him he had. But then he called one day and told me he was switching majors to the School of Dance. Dance? I asked, confused. What happened, Mike? He said he'd realized how much he loved martial arts and thought dance might offer something similar. But I sensed something deeper was going on. Not long after that, he told me he was dropping out of college altogether and enlisting in the Marine Corps. I was stunned. I sent him a plane ticket to visit me in Florida. When he arrived, we had a wonderful time reconnecting. I think he could see that I truly loved him. He was searching for identity, for a purpose, and I was praying hard for wisdom. I didn't feel worthy to guide him, but I also couldn't abandon him. I had already done too much of that. One morning, we went for a walk along the beach. As we walked, a scuba diver emerged from the ocean. Now, being a diver myself, I knew it was unusual for someone to end a dive by walking ashore. So we waited and struck up a conversation. Within a minute, the diver told us he had just gotten out of the Marine Corps. I nearly cried. I asked him, what was it like? And without hesitation, he began describing how awful it had been for him, how brutal, how soul-draining. I looked at Mike. I didn't need to say a word. I told them I was heading home and left the two of them to talk. When Mike returned an hour later, he looked me in the eye and said, Dad, I don't think I'm going to join the Marines. I whispered a silent, thank you, Lord. That wasn't the end of Mike's journey. He later married a woman I wasn't sure would be the right partner for him, but life proved me wrong. Together, they raised 5 incredible children. I'm not as close to them as I'd like for a variety of reasons, but I love them deeply. And my great-granddaughter, Kyra. Oh my God, what a beautiful soul. What a gift. Despite the pain, the missteps, and the broken chapters, I remain grateful for grace, the kind that shows up on beaches, in phone calls, in the eyes of our children, and in second chances.